The following content has been provided by RWTH Aachen University.
Okay, so next up, animation apps. I already talked about using stuff like PowerPoint or Keynote for simple animations, and that's fine. If you want to get a little fancier, then you would use something like Director, or it used to be Flash, in order to simulate more complex things going on. These can become very intricate, and if you have somebody like a graphic artist, a graphic designer who knows how to use his animation tools, then they will do some amazing magic with it. They are very powerful when they're extended by scripting languages, but be careful. There is a certain temptation to use this for your final system, because you've already got this interactive thing, so shouldn't we just make that the interface part of our actual shipped product? Scripting languages are very clumsy, those used in those animation tools, compared to real programming languages that we are used to as computer scientists. So they might actually be limiting you in the sense of the power that you can get into your actual fully developed program. But this also sometimes allows you to integrate non-standard hardware or other operating system features, like particular interfaces that you connect, peripherals, weird sensors that you might need in your system. They can become the final product. Distribution is fairly easy usually with these animation tools can typically package up a standalone runtime. But larger designs become hard to manage because these systems aren't designed to make very complex products, right? They're really just for animations. The web, of course, is a wonderful way to also do prototyping. So especially, of course, if what you're developing is a web application, then using the web also for prototyping makes a lot of sense. So the typical approach would be HTML and JavaScript, using HTML5 in particular. That is, of course, the final, a natural choice for web interface design. And it's ubiquitous, right? You've got lots of tools. You have a clear text format for your code, if you like. You can view it, in theory at least, in any browser. You can distribute it over the net, just send people a link and they can play with it. But unless you really tie things down very strongly, you don't get a precise look and feel, right? You don't usually have pixel point accuracy control over the appearance of something. If somebody has a different browser setting, uses a different screen size or something, things will look differently. So that's something to live with. Then, of course, there are rapid development environments like Visual Basic.net or TickleTK. These are great for standard graphical user interfaces. So if all you need to create is a standard look and feel where you use normal buttons and sliders and scroll bars and so on, nothing fancy, those are perfect, right? They can even become the final product. You can stick with them if they are powerful enough for your purposes. These are partly interpreted systems, which gives you very quick development cycles, but can possibly slow you down performance-wise. Distribution works okay. Not all of those are available cross-platform, so sometimes you tie yourself down to just Windows or just Linux or just Mac OS X or something like this. And they might require a specific runtime environment that the user needs to install before they can actually see your prototype. It's not quite as packaged as some of those animation apps are. Then, of course, there's also special purpose prototyping tools. MaxMSP is an example of those. MaxMSP is a weird kind of program. It's a multimedia development environment that's been around for 20 years or so. It was originally developed to do MIDI applications. Does anybody here in the room know what MIDI is? Okay, a couple people. Can you explain what MIDI is?
A protocol for audio.
Yep, it's a protocol for sending sort of musical information between devices. between synthesizers or a keyboard and computer, for example. It doesn't actually send audio data per se. It sends sort of control information that says, like, play the note C at this volume for this long. And so originally, MaxMSP was built for this kind of application to play with MIDI data to control musical instruments and build musical performances. Crazy artists would use this to make interactive music exhibits and stuff. It then was extended to handle graphics, audio, video, so now it's like a really multimedia development environment. Pretty impressive. You build applications by basically connecting patches that process incoming data. Now we would call this probably sort of graph-based programming, so visual programming or data stream flow-based programming, I think is the word. Flow-based programming works in a way that you basically say, okay, this slider here, I can move back and forth, and when I do that, it creates output data that gets sent to this next node here, which creates musical notes, and those musical notes are then sent out to this thing, which actually plays them on the built-in synthesizer. So you connect things up with these lines, and this flow-based programming, you've probably seen this. Who's seen a programming environment or some kind of environment where you are connecting patches to each other for sending data? Anybody use something like this? Yeah?
Was part of the Lego Mindstorm software.
Ah, Lego Mindstorms. Yeah, exactly. So one way of programming Lego Mindstorms was to link things up with this sort of graphical one step after the other kind of programming environment. Got another one?
The Autodesk Maya suite uses this for linking up animations and partially programming them.
Aha, okay, so animations in Maya, interesting. Any other areas? Yeah?
The Automator on macOS, so you can rename files and stuff.
Yep.
You don't want to do by hand.
Yep, that's right. So that also has sort of the sequence of things that you chain together. Any others? Mm-hmm.
ePrime, it's for psychological programming.
Huh, okay. So psychological programming, what does it mean? Like programming psychology experiments?
You display pictures and
Yeah. Okay, okay. Wonderful. Yeah, so lots of examples. You may have seen, I don't know, LabVIEW maybe, which is a technical program to simulate, to measure values and hook up to lab equipment that uses the same programming environment. So this is a fairly modern and coming way of programming. MaxMSP has done this for a long time, and it works really well for programs that basically process data and spit it out again and do something with it. It doesn't work so well if you need to manage a lot of state in your system, because this is really more geared towards live data processing. So camera picture coming in, I don't know, recognize some objects in it, trigger some actions as a result. Those kinds of things it works great for. You can use it for end products. In fact, in '97, when I built the WorldBeat system in another interactive music exhibit, I used MaxMSP for the final system. But I can tell you, it's not pretty if you need to sort of manage these kinds of systems, because it's very easy to build spaghetti code with these, because you're linking up all these boxes with each other and you lose sort of track of what's calling whom fairly quickly. Not as easy to build large systems with these as it is with our traditional programming environments. You can get this for free, by the way. You can try it out for a while. MaxMSP is a free download and works for, I think, a month or so to play with. Or there's PD, which is the open source version of MaxMSP.
This content was provided by RWTH Aachen University.